Joe Budden believes he deserves a little bit of responsibility for Drake's demise. In a recent Twitter space, Joe admitted this.
It may come off the wrong way. It may sound narcissistic, but I don't think any one man takes down Drake. I think that was a baton. I think I passed the baton to Push. I think Push passed the baton to Kendrick, and the job is done now. That's how I feel in my head and my heart.
Insinuating that Drake is no longer what we once knew him to be. Let me first off by setting this disclaimer. Anytime Joe Budden comes up on my platform, y'all know I freaking love Joe Budden podcast. There's never a week where I miss that thing. It is my favorite piece of content to consume throughout a week's time, 2 times over. I love that Joe Budden podcast. I don't know exactly what he meant by this specifically because I didn't listen to the entire Twitter space. I'm going to get back to that for the record. Hold on to that. I'm going to get back to that one for the record. If Joe is speaking to the podcast and how him breaking down people and different things of the culture, different artists over the years has helped fans connect the dots about the personality of somebody like a Drake because they maybe have a relationship in the past or something along the lines of that, then okay, I hear you. If Joe, though, is speaking to him as a rapper, dropping like 6 diss records to Drake like 7-8 years ago, I don't believe that had much of any impact at all on Drake. And I don't even want to start talking about the demise of Drake or the end of Drake or anybody finishing Drake. I don't believe we're there yet. I don't know what exactly will be Drake's game plan when he opts to return to music. I do believe he needs to take some time and strategically plan out a game plan. Like hopping on a Sexy Red record ain't gonna work for me. Talking about Delilah ain't gonna work for me. You know, hopping on pop stars albums not gonna work for me. I need a thought out and concentrated effort of how am I going to rebrand myself even as one of the biggest artists to come around in the past 15 years. Drake definitely does need a rebrand. This They Not Like Us record, a part of the Kendrick Lamar beef, has taken on a life of its own. And I do believe now whenever Drake decides to give us more music and to decide to give us another contribution, there needs to be direction. There needs to be some explaining to do from the boy, because this has been rough. I will admit that. I was somebody who previously said, you know, Drake didn't look bad in his feud with Kendrick Lamar. Clearly, I've been wrong. And I think the last couple weeks has told us how wrong I am. This is bad. This They Not Like Us record has become symbolic of a unification of a region right now. The problem with that is everybody's screaming out that one artist is a pedophile. Like everybody's getting together, laughing, having a big old cookout, unified, and sets are coming together on stage in the hood. The only problem with that is one person's legacy is taking a substantial hit on record. People are screaming that he's into A minors. So if I'm Drake, it's like, damn, why the hell y'all gotta come together at my expense? I do believe Drake deserves a rebrand. I think Joe is being very arrogant to think that he musically had any part of that. And back to that for the record, I want to say this. I am a person, since I consume the Joe Budden podcast, if I see a clip floating around from an episode that I maybe haven't seen yet, I'll watch the clip on Twitter. Anybody out there that knows what I'm talking about, y'all know what I'm talking about. The way Twitter algorithm works is if you watch a clip, you're going to get more clips from that page. You're going to get more similar categories to what you watch. This conversation came from a Twitter space that Joe Budden was in. Somebody has to call out the obvious in the room. I have listened to a couple of these clips from Joe Budden related Twitter spaces, whether he's involved in them or whether people are talking about him in a space. It to me looks like they're podcasting about the podcast. I wanted to say this on record. Some of you people in these Twitter spaces, obviously not all, I listened to a couple of these things. I think y'all the weirdest people on God's green earth. I have never seen anything like it in my life. There are people going out of their way to defend Joe's character as if they're Joe Budden, as if they're on the podcast. They've created a free space about a podcast that makes a lot of money. And if I'm Joe Budden, I totally get why he decides to pop in every now and then. These are the people that's paying for his new villa. These are the people that's putting a down payment on this new home. These are the people that's going to make sure he always has a personal driver. I have never seen anything like it. People are more invested in a product than the actual person running it. For the life of me, as a content creator that's actually successful and built his own, I kept wondering, how has Joe been able to create such a diligent platform and remove it away from YouTube and Facebook and all these entities that somebody like me, I have to use per month to pay my bills? And it finally made sense to me when I started to see a couple of these Twitter spaces. Oh, the model is hop in a couple of these guys' Twitter spaces every month, make them feel important, the JBTV community and all the different spaces that I don't know the name of, make them feel important, touch them a little bit, and they'll sit back and pay your bills the whole year. These are some of the weirdest people on God's green earth in these spaces. I can't believe what I've seen. It is a very interesting group of people that seem to believe they're relevant because Joe Budden comes in a couple times over and says hi. That's where this conversation originated from, and I think it's very weird. I would suggest to anybody out there, at some point in time, you're going to have to build your business yourself. You can't create a YouTube channel off one person's back. You can't create a brand off one person's back. You can't create a Twitter space of one person's business. At some point, your business and your model has to stand alone. Time, love, and support. It's what your boy would never take for granted. Salute. I'm out. If you are like me and love flexing your NBA knowledge, you should head over to the best place to play fantasy sports. That's Underdog Fantasy. For me, I love the pick'em game. It's super simple to play too. All you got to do is go to the Underdog Fantasy website or app, pick whether a player will have a higher or lower stat line for that game, get all your picks right, and you can win up to 20 times your money. And when you sign up, if you use my code Ferro, your deposit will get doubled. You can't beat that. Again, head over to today's sponsor, Underdog Fantasy's website or app, use my code Ferro, and your first deposit will get doubled. Do you want to see your favorite athlete live in action next time they're in your town? Or do you want to see your favorite artist performing in concert next time they're in a city near you? Head over to the SeatGeek website or app and use my code HoopsFerro for $20 off your first purchase. Make sure you subscribe to the It's Mr. Taliaferro YouTube channel, and hey, donate a super chat. Follow me on Facebook at It's Mr. Taliaferro, cop a supporter badge. The Underdog Fantasy promo code is Ferro. The SeatGeek promo code is HoopsFerro. And follow me on Twitter at It's Mr. Ferro.